In today's video, we will be discussing something that has been brought up in the One Piece community a lot recently. First and foremost, I have to say shout out to Mr. Morge because a lot of people have been asking me to make this video just due to the fact that he's talked about this before. From that shout out to Mr. Morge, I'm sure that you know exactly what this video is going to be about. So today I'm going to give my opinion on what would happen if the raid fails. But before we get into today's video, I just want to say make sure you check out the pinned comment for my Twitch link. Make sure you guys follow me on Twitch. You don't want to miss any of the awesome streams I do daily. Also, make sure you hit the Discord link that's there as well and join my server because I do awesome fan videos every now and then and you don't want to miss that either. Without further ado though, let's get into the video. So this video is speaking specifically about what I think would happen if the raid failed. Although I know some of you want me to talk about if I think the raid will fail or not, that's not what this video is about. If you would like me to make that video and give my reasons for and against, make sure that you comment down below and I'll try my best to do that. But for the sake of this video, we're assuming that the raid has failed, which means that Kaido and Big Mom have won, which also means that everything that they talked about doing in chapter 985 will probably come to fruition in one way or another. So first and foremost, how could I see this raid failing in general? Well, we know that Luffy is on his way to Kaido for the third time. He's lost once in Curry and he's lost a second time on top of the floating Onigashima. He gets thrown down, eats some meat from the law pirates, and he is healed up now. He's asking Momonosuke to please take him to Kaido. So at this point, people think that, oh, this is where Luffy's going to win. And if you believe in the Momotaro theory, then you also think that Yamato and Marco will be up there with him, and with them alongside will be Momonosuke. Or you probably think that some combination of Luffy, Zoro, and some of the other Straw Hats will be the ones to defeat Kaido. However, in this video, we're assuming that he loses the fight. So the first question is, how does the raid fail? Luffy loses, the Straw Hats lose. But what happens after this? Well, let's talk about the CP0 quickly. Well, basically, the leaders have been talking very recently, and they've said that it doesn't matter which side wins. It does not concern them. The only thing that they are worried about is who's who being defeated. In my mind, this means the CP0 believe that they're going to get their way no matter what. And it doesn't matter which side that they have to deal with, they're going to be able to make a deal in their minds or get the resources that they need from Wano. Well, we know before the CP0 had a deal with Orochi, they were talking about getting resources and they even did make a transaction for some warships. So the first thing I think happens here, CP0, you know, they've already made themselves known. Kaido, of course, knows about them. They were invited to this party, this banquet. So they're going to continue their dealings and continue whatever transactions they already had. But what happens to the Straw Hats? Like, how do they get away from this situation? Where do they go? Because we know just because of narrative reasons that they won't get, you know, captured. It's not like Kaido's going to defeat them and kill them or defeat them and take them and keep them at Onigashima. They have to get away somehow. My mindset on this would be the Grand Fleet. I think that that's my only thought process on how they could get away. Perhaps the Grand Fleet would come and save them in their time of need to be able to retreat. The other thing that I was thinking about was perhaps Law had some sort of backup plan and he had prepared for this moment that if they lose, he would have a way for them to retreat, whether that's the submarine, and whether that's a submarine or some amount of ships, I'm pretty sure that Law will be capable enough and smart enough to prepare something for them to get away. This would be a pretty bad blow for the morale of the Straw Hats though. And even if they did get away scot-free, it's going to be tough for Luffy because in his mind, he's failed. He would have failed the people of Wano, which he picked up their will from Kinemon. Kinemon asking him to please, you know, save the people of Wano for us because we couldn't do it. So Luffy would have failed not only Kinemon, but the people of Wano. And he also would have failed his crew. If you remember, he gets defeated in Curry after he believes that Kaido has killed his entire crew. And even though Kaido didn't do it, it's still the fact that Luffy was led to believe this due to the Boral Breath's damage. And I'm pretty sure that he wanted to get Kaido back because of this. This will be tough on Luffy. I think it wouldn't be as bad as maybe after Sabaody, after their defeat there, or maybe not as bad as the Marineford situation, but it would make Luffy get back on his pivot and try hard the next time. But what is the next time? Because the raid has failed and we don't think that Luffy is coming back to fight him right after this, right? In my mind, and I don't know exactly how Morge framed his concepts or how he thinks things would go after the raid failed, but in my mind, if the raid did fail, it's to save save Big Mom and Kaido for the endgame, the final war, in which everyone would make some sort of cameo and be involved in the fight. And that's honestly the only reason why I could see it happening. If Oda wanted the raid to fail and he wanted Kaido and Big Mom to succeed, it's because he probably has plans for them later on. Another big thing to talk about is Kaido and his death. In a lot of ways, people don't really know how Kaido's gonna die, but they don't believe he can be left alive if the raid does succeed, and I'm kind of in that agreement. I think if the raid succeeds, Kaido does have to die, but I've been having a very tough time figuring out a way for him to die that makes sense. Because if we think Luffy's doing most of the damage, who's going to kill him? Now, there are some possibilities. Yamato perhaps, Zoro perhaps. Some people even throw out Blackbeard still may show up. I don't think at this point that's going to happen, but it's very tough for me to see a way in which Kaido dies after the raid succeeds, which could kind of play into what Morge was saying about the raid failing. The next arc, in my opinion, after the raid fails would either be Elbaf or maybe a mini arc where we find out what happened with Sabo and Vivi and things like that. During this time though, I think that Luffy needs to get stronger if the raid has failed, because he needs to be ready to fight Kaido and defeat him again when the time would come. Now, some people seem to think that in Elbaf, perhaps the red-haired pirates would show up there, or that they'd already be there and Luffy and them would stumble into them. I think that this would be a great opportunity for Luffy to learn some more things from Shanks. We've seen him in different arcs revolved around Yonko learn things. In Whole Cake, it was revolved around Big Mom, and with his fight with Katakuri, he learns Future Sight. In Kaido's arc of Wano, he's learned both Rio and Conqueror's coding, so it would be cool if he could learn something more, or maybe even a better way to control his Conqueror's coding in Elbaf with Shanks. Perhaps that's what he needs. If you remember, Kaido does state that Luffy was using his haki clumsily, which means to me he wasn't fighting at his top strength or what his potential was. And maybe that's the reason why he can't beat Kaido right now in Wano, and that's why the raid would fail. So maybe that is something that's in Elbaf if he runs into Shanks that he could learn there in order to be able to help him against the Yonko later down the line. But we've talked about things I think of the Straw Hats, but what does the raid failing mean for the One Piece world in general? Well, going back to 985, Kaido said that him and Big Mom made an alliance that they would claim the One Piece and that they would go on expeditions and things like that in order to, I'm assuming, get the road poneglyphs they need in order to get the Laugh Tale and to get the One Piece. So I think the biggest thing that happens in the One Piece world is there's two Yonkos and an alliance running rampant on the world. That's very detrimental to everyone around them, and it's going to be hard for other people to really get anything done, because we've already seen Luffy and friends and everyone else try their hardest to defeat these two big brutes, and it didn't work if the raid fails, like I said. And that wasn't them at 100%. Their fleets weren't in there. Big Mom's pirates were not there. So both of them at 100% with their crews and fleets, it's going to be tough. And I don't know if anyone in the world could do that. So the negative impact on the world is going to be grand with them just being together and running rampant. But also you have to look at other people like Kid and Law and the Scabbards. What happens with them? At this point, they have to regroup and really rethink things because they've also been defeated. How many of the Scabbards are left alive? We honestly don't know. Did the Scabbards make it off the island when Luffy and them retreated? That's something else we don't know. What happened with Yamato? There are so many different questions to really answer, but for me, I think the Scabbards, if the raid fails, either dying or being held captive makes the most sense. I don't think that they should escape. I think that if the raid fails, there needs to be stakes involved. There needs to be some losses on the side of the Straw Hats. They can't just get away scot-free and nothing happen at all. I think Yamato going with the Straw Hats makes the most sense if the raid does fail. Now, this doesn't mean she's 100% joining the Straw Hats. She could just be traveling with them, but she could also join them. I mean, I really don't have a problem with Yamato joining the Straw Hats or just Yamato traveling with them. It's fine either way for me. But I think if the raid fails, Yamato going with them makes so much sense because they're going to need help the next time they run into them. I think the biggest takeaway from this though is that if the Straw Hats lose, the raid fails, they'll need to get stronger for the next time they encounter Kaido and Big Mom. When will it happen? It could happen before the final war, but I would assume it would happen during that final war, in which Luffy can finish things that are a parts of what he wants. And he did say that he would defeat all the Yonko. So maybe he stops Kaido and Big Mom in 2 different arcs. Maybe Big Mom's in Elbaf because, you know, she has ties there. He stops her there. The alliance gets broken up, and then he meets Kaido during the final war, maybe before the final war, and finally, with the help of Yamato and friends, defeat Kaido. That's my mindset if the raid does fail, but guys, I want to know exactly how you feel. So let me know down below, what do you think of the raid failing? Do you think it will fail? And if it does, what do you think will happen? Also, make sure you check that pinned comment. Like I said, follow me on Twitch. Make sure that you follow me there and turn on Twitch notifications and join the Discord. And as always, I hope you all are staying safe and healthy during these trying times. This has been Synsei Inc., and I will see you all in the next video.